If you clicked on this video, you probably own one of these heaters, or you've been looking for more information on them because you're thinking about getting one. In case you don't know, these are propane heaters and this is a butane heater, and they're really great heaters. I use them all the time. You just have to be careful with them because they can be dangerous, and the fact is you can die using them. So the reason I'm making this video is because I've done a number of other videos testing all of these heaters here, and I've received lots of attention on them and lots of comments. Some of the comments had concern for safety about using these, especially when camping. One of the comments I got that really hit home with me was a story about a grandfather who took his grandchild out on a camping trip, and they were in a tent. Things got colder than they thought it was going to be, and they used actually a gas stove, which isn't much different than these ones here. It works on the same premise. They were in a tent, and it turned out that they went to sleep and never woke up. So I'm going to get right into it, but if you have a lot of experience with these heaters and you found that I've missed something, or there's something you want to add about it, please leave me a comment down below. I'm sure others would love to hear it too, because this is about safety, and you know, if you have something to add about it, the more the merrier for others who are less experienced. So in case you're wondering which heaters these are, this is the Mr. Heater Little Buddy propane heater. This is the Mr. Heater Buddy heater, and that is propane as well. And this is the Kovea Cupid butane heater. When you're using these heaters, they burn oxygen and they produce carbon monoxide as a byproduct. Neither one of those situations ends up to be a good result. So first I'll just talk about a tent. If you're using one of these in a tent and you're sleeping overnight, and that's the big thing, right? You don't want to go to sleep and not wake up. So if you're using one of these, you have to make sure that there is proper ventilation in the tent. You have to be using those top vents if you have vents, and some of the tents too, you can pull out the bottoms and have good ventilation coming up from the bottom as well. I often use a fan with one of these as well, and that's not a mandatory thing for safety, but not only does it distribute the heat, it moves that air around and allows more fresh air to come in from the venting that I've provided. And it's the same thing, if not more important, when you're sleeping in a vehicle, because that really gets airtight. You need to have a window rolled down and that fresh air coming in for sure. Some of these come with a oxygen shut-off sensor, and some of them don't. This one doesn't. Still a great heater. But that's why the ventilation is important. And even this one too, if you have the proper ventilation, you have nothing to worry about. And so the next thing I want to talk about is carbon monoxide and the importance of a carbon monoxide detector. So these are super important, especially if you're sleeping in an enclosed area like a tent or a vehicle. So you'll always want to make sure before you start your camp is that you have good batteries in here, and then you can test it. It's pretty loud when it tests, but then you know it works. You're safe. I usually keep this, yeah, okay, we're good. And I usually keep this close by my sleeping area because even though carbon monoxide is a little bit lighter than air and it mixes well with the air and distributes pretty good, I would just feel like it's better safe than sorry to have this close by, just in case there is a higher concentration where you're sleeping. So the next thing I want to talk about doesn't only pertain to camping in a car or a tent. It pertains to anywhere you're using this, and that is being aware of what's around it in case it tips. Now, having mentioned that, most of these have a tip sensor, so if you tip it over, it will shut off automatically. And I just moved into my new camping car quickly so that I can show you how easily this one actually shuts off. So here you can see it's glowing red. If I tap that, it shuts off right away. But still, having said that, you can't depend on that because it's a good safety feature, but if that feature ever fails, poof. And so when you're using these heaters, common sense is just a thing, right? So use that as well. And this will probably be my last point. Oh, airplane. And so my last point is a pretty basic one, but it's an important one. Use common sense when you're using these heaters. Don't put them in dangerous situations. You know, you might be warming up your shed. I've done that in the shed in the wintertime. I bring a heater in there, doing some work in there. Don't burn them around your fuel tanks. That's a flame. And this is flammable. The fumes are flammable. right? I've seen fumes light on fire. You know, just use common sense like that. Don't have a bunch of flammable stuff right around these heaters. And so I love these heaters. I think they're the best thing. I use them all the time. Of course, I'm still waiting for somebody to sponsor me for a diesel heater, but that'll come in time. So some of the information I gave you about these heaters today, for some of you might just seem basic and redundant, but it's always good to have a safety reminder. And again, if you use these a lot, leave a comment down below because that can help others too. Some of you are new to these heaters, and you know, if you are, I'm glad you watched this far because safety is important and these are things you need to think about when you're using these types of heaters. Yeah, so pretty soon I'll be having some type of camping adventure, and I'm sure I'll be using these quite a bit this winter. There's going to be a video somewhere here that YouTube's going to recommend to you. Thanks so much for watching. Be safe. And remember the most important thing, folks, take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.